Hi guys, sorry I'm not here today. I just wanted to record a quick video so you guys could copy down our notes for today. So the first thing we need to recall in today's lesson is slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. And when you have an equation written in this format, m is representing your slope and b is representing your y-intercept. Okay, so we've already talked a lot about this. We've talked about how we can write equations. The opposite. We've talked about how we could graph equations that are written in this format. And today, you guys are going to be writing the equations. So instead of me giving you the equation and you actually graphing it, I'm going to give you the graph and you have to come up with the equation, okay? But you're still looking for that same important information. And then you're just replacing m and b with the slope and with the y-intercept. So you need to know how to find both of those things by looking at the graph. So if we look at this first graph here, the first point I always look for is the y-intercept. Just like I graph the y-intercept first, I would also look for the y-intercept first. So here is my x-axis, here is my y-axis. The point on my y-axis is my y-intercept. So that's what I look for first, and it tells me that b equals 2 because that point is at 2 on my y-axis. Okay, once you find the y-intercept, the next thing you need to calculate is the slope. Now, there's a couple ways you can go about doing this. You can calculate slope from 2 points by creating a table, or you could use your slope formula, or you can do rise over run. You can make a slope triangle on the graph. So because I'm given the graph for this one, I'm going to make the slope triangle. If you wanted to write down 2 points and put them in a table and do change in y over change in x, that would also work. But I'm going to look for another point. I can see that there's a point here because my graph is going through one of those like little corners. So I can see that that point is at -4, 3. And then I'm going to make my slope triangle. And then I'm going to write down my rise and my run. My rise is -1 because this is going down 1. I should know that this has a negative slope because you read a graph from left to right. And from left to right, this line is going down. Okay. And then let's look at our run. We went to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So -1 over +4 would be my slope, which is just -1/4. Once we have that information, once we know what m and what b equal, we can write the equation. It's going to be in the format y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to go ahead and replace m with my slope of -1/4. Don't forget to write x. That's probably the biggest mistake I see when students write equations. They write y equals -1/4 plus 2, and they forget about x. Always check that your equation has both x and y. It should have both, okay? So this would be our equation. Y equals -1/4 x plus 2. On the next page, we have a context example where we have this picture of a car trip, and it looks like our x-axis is representing time and our y-axis is representing distance. So it looks like the distance starts at 100 miles and over time it increases. Okay, we're coming up with the equation for this line. So I start the same way. My y-intercept is 100. That is my initial value, my starting point, the point on the y-axis. Those are all different ways of saying the same thing. And then to find my slope, I can make a slope triangle or I can use the table method. Since I did the slope triangle for the last one, I'll do the table for this one. I'm going to make my little table XY. My first point is right here at 0, 100. The other point they gave me is over here at 6, 400. Okay, we know that slope is change in y over change in x. My change in y from 100 to 400 is plus 300 over my change in x, which is plus 6. And then from there, we would just want to simplify. Okay, so you could simplify the fraction by dividing them both by something. I might realize, oh, well, these are definitely both divisible by 3. Or you can just do some long division. and do 300 divided by 6. And I would say 6 goes into 30 5 times. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract. Bring down a 0. And we get 50. 6 times 50 is 300, right? So if you weren't sure, that's how you could show your work for that without, because we're still not using calculators, so we shouldn't be typing this into our calculators on our Chromebook, okay? So the slope here is 50. Finally, my equation would be y equals 50x plus 100. It makes sense because my line is going up, so I would have a positive slope here. All I did was replace m with the number 50 and replace b with the number 100. For part B, it says if the car continued driving at a constant rate for 11 hours, how far would they be? Okay, if they were driving for 11 hours. Now, I can't just look at the graph because my graph only goes up to 6 hours. Okay, so we have to actually plug this number into our equation. I know that hours is on my x-axis, and therefore this is an x value. It's telling me that x equals 11. This is why we come up with the equation, because you can make predictions for any amount of time. Now that I know x is 11, I can replace x with 11 and calculate. Okay, so to do this calculation without a calculator, 5 times 11 is 55, and then add your 0. 550 plus 100 would be 650. Remember, y is representing miles, so this is 650 miles. It makes sense because we were asking how far they would be. They would be 650 miles away from their starting point. This is all you guys have for notes today. Tomorrow we will do day 2, but this is it for today. Your homework is to complete the packet that the sub should have passed out, or Miss Dennehy should have passed out to you. I hope you all have a great day, and I will be back and see you all tomorrow.